ध्यायेत् शारदचन्द्रसुन्दरमुखम् ताम्रारविन्देक्षणम् भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्यङ्गकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणेश्वरं गुरुवरं योगासनाध्यासितं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षातात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जताव पवनचलनरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. Namo Ramana. We will commence the Friday evening Atma Vichara by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. As usual, we are reading from the book Ramana Answers, Self-Inquiry, 1900 to 1950, a compilation of all the answers of Bhagavan on the subject of Atma Vichara by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We will be looking at the second question from the 1936 to 1950 section of the book. After reading Bhagavan's Upadesham, we will contemplate on his answer by his grace and then have a 20-minute Atma Vichara session, following which our President Sharda Akka would be talking on the same subject of Atma Vichara from the book Ramana Gita. And then we will conclude with the prayers to Bhagavan. The second question, which I plan to take it this week and next week. So we will look at the question and answer first. The devotee says, is seeking the source of the I thought sufficient for accomplishing all my aims, or is mantra dhyana needed? The question is seeking the source of the I thought sufficient for accomplishing all my aims, or is mantra dhyana needed? Bhagavan answers, the former is enough. One should cast one's burden on the Lord of the universe, who is always victorious. He is the excellent doer of all actions. You should always concentrate your intellect on the heart, which is the seat of the Atman, and abide there. This doer, the Lord, is powerful enough to fulfill your object in the future. The Lord of the universe, controlling the past and the future, should be entrusted as the efficient actor. When the time comes, the excellent object would be fulfilled. Let there be no doubts in your mind, jewel of the learned. By steady abidance in the heart, your welfare is sure. Let the work be surrendered to Shiva. We will look into the first portion of Bhagavan's answer this week. The question obviously being put here is it enough if I seek the source of the I thought to accomplish all my aims of this life? Or along with that, should I do any other sadhana? Here, though being specially mentioned as mantra dhyana, but the question can be taken a little broadly to say, should I do any other kind of dhyana or any other kind of tapas? The former is enough, says Bhagavan. The answer I will read. The former is enough. One should cast one's burden on the Lord of the universe, who is always victorious. He is the excellent doer of all actions. You should always concentrate your intellect on the heart, which is the seat of the Atman, and abide there. This doer, the Lord, is powerful enough to fulfill your object in the future. This part we will look at it. Bhagavan is very clearly striking down all possible doubts and making it very clear that finding the source of the I thought and remaining there is sufficient to accomplish everything that we want to accomplish in this life. And there is no need for us to even have another thought about any form of sadhana that we may have to do. He is making it very clearly. When the question is very clear between Atma Vichara and other sadhana, Bhagavan is saying Atma Vichara is sufficient. He is making it also clear that the self, which is the one truth, which is the Lord of the universe, he's saying he is the victorious one. Many things in life may come and go. None of them we have seen sustains. The one which always remains is the self. Therefore, it is the victorious one. It is the truth which alone is there. Due to it can, because of that truth, everything else appears to be real. Everything else seems to have arisen and subsides and transforms, and may happen many things in the when we look at the aims or goal-oriented things. All of them come, stay, and go away. But this self, which is the substrate for all of it, doesn't rise or fall, doesn't change, doesn't go through any changes as well. So it is the constant one, it is the victorious one, and therefore Bhagavan says we should trust that. He is the excellent doer of all actions. It can be compared to that of the sun. When just in the presence of the sun, many things happen on the plane of the earth. The trees produce food, then it becomes fruits, then the water evaporates, it falls as rain. Many, the transformation happens in the body. We get vitamin D, which helps us digest many other things. So it is the sunlight, though the sun is not the real doer per se in all of this, but because of his very presence, everything continues to happen. Therefore, it is to be understood that the sunlight is enough to make sure everything happens in the right time, at the right time, all things fall in place. However, suppose if I am a doubter standing between the sunlight and the things that are naturally happening, and I am getting little perturbed because there is a cloud that has appeared for the last 2 3 days, and there is no sunlight. And if I get perturbed, what is going to happen to the fruits? What is going to happen to the tree? What is going to happen to me? And all of that with my own imagination, Bhagavan is saying to such a one, that imaginative one who is constantly getting perturbed, that he should only do one thing. You should always, he says, you should always concentrate your intellect on the heart, which is the seat of the Atman, and abide there. So Bhagavan is giving a clear answer. He is always saying, doubt the doubter. He doesn't try to answer the doubts. The doubts that what will happen if there is no sunlight for 2 days, or doesn't try to answer what happens if this tree falls away, will I get the fruit? All of that question is not there to be answered. It's because it is all taken care. The tree was there even before the doubter came. The tree might go away when the doubter might be there, but there is always something which will take care. So he asks us to trust that one who has created the entire universe, sustains the entire universe, that Lord who is of excellent intellect. He asks us to trust that, and asks the doubter's intellect only to abide in the heart, the source of the Atman. He asks us, the doubter, to doubt himself and go back to the heart, go back to the self, and recognize that it is only an imagination, and the excellent Atman, the Lord of the universe, is very much present, and he knows why there is 2 days of darkness or whatever that might have happened externally. So in a way, Bhagavan is clearly saying the only sadhana that we may have to think moment to moment is not give reality to the doubter, not think that I need to find the answer to this doubt, not get carried away by the innumerable doubts that keep rising in the form of thoughts, but doubt that very doubter by asking, to whom is this? Who am I? And taking the attention from the doubter to that heart, the source where the Lord of the universe, the self, resides and shines as I. He is asking us to turn our attention from imaginatively getting perturbed to looking at that sthita prajna, that self which is ever constant, and attend to it. This doer, Bhagavan says, the Lord is powerful enough to fulfill your object in the future. And Bhagavan is assuring that one may not, even if the doubt is being held, he is assuring the doubt also that the Lord of this universe, the Self, will assure that whatever we were looking as an objective will come true in the future. And therefore, there is no need for us to get, even for the doubter is assuring that it will all come true. Just turn your attention and abide in the source. We look at the second part of the answer next week. So Bhagavan is asking us repeatedly to not attend to any thought, but doubt the thoughts by inquiring, to whom is this? Who am I? And turning our attention from the thought, from the doubter, to the self, which alone, in which light alone this thought has seemed to be existing, in which light alone, when inquired, disappears, revealing that pure light of self. So by the inquiry, Bhagavan turns our attention repeatedly back to that Lord of the universe, that truth which alone shines, which alone is. With immense grace of Bhagavan, with which alone we could have come to this direct path, which makes us recognize the truth every moment and remain one with it by the act of inquiry. Let us do Atma Vichara for the next 20 minutes.
नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय।
नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। नमो रमना। Over to Sharda Akka.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of that self manifest as Ramana, we are meditating on the verses of the Ramana Gita as a revelation for our practice of self-inquiry, as a support for a practice of self-inquiry. And we are on the second chapter, the verse, the Eka Shloki, which is chanted at the beginning of all our satsangs practically. This one is Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahmamatram Hi Aham iti Sakshat Atma Rupena Bhati Hridi Visha Manasa Swam Chinvata Majjata Va Pavana Chalana Rodhat Atmanishto Bhavatvam. We looked at this verse of Bhagavan and how it was composed and how it contains, as the Muni has said, that it contains the essence of the Vedanta. Shrutyanta saram yo Veda samshayo nasya jastuchit. There can never be any doubt assailing the one who understands this shloka, says Ganapati Muni. Then he goes on to dwell on the meaning of the verse and its significance. So he says, Atra shloke bhagavata purvardhe sthanamiritam sharirakasya drishyesmin sharire panchabhautike. So he says, in this shloka, what has Bhagavan given us? First, he has given us the location of the self. The location. What is that location? Hridaya Kuhara Madhye. In the center of the heart cave. So, Atra Shloke Bhagavata Purvardhe Sthanamiritam. The first part of that shloka is giving the placement, the sthana. And where is this to be experienced? The Muni says, Purvardhe sthanamiritam sharirakasya panchabhautikam shariram panchabhautikam sharirakasya madhya. This space, which is the seat of the self, which is called the heart, is within the boundary of the body, which has 5 sheaths, he says. This is what we feel to be the truth. We think that we are existing within a body, and everything directly and indirectly which comes and meets Where is it? It is within the body, the Panchabhuta Sharira, Shariram, Panchabhautike, the Panchabhuta Sharira. We remembered the verse in Ulladu Narpadu, where Bhagavan says, Yat Panchakoshatmakamasti Deham, Tadantara Kim Bhuvanam Chakasti. Is there a world without this fivefold body? Deham vina panchavidam tadetat pashyante keva bhuvanam bhadantu. There is no world without this body. There is no experience. World means, what does world mean? World means the other. It means an experience. So to experience something apart from ourselves is called the world. And Bhagavan says this world is experienced because one sees oneself as a body. So there is this body which is made up of 5 sheets. The 5 sheets being the Annamaya, the gross body, Pranamaya, the vital body which consists of the breath, Manomaya, which constitutes the thought layer, then Vijnanamaya, which is the intellect or the capacity to analyze and grasp and comprehend, and Anandamaya, the blissful sheath, which is the cause or the substratum for the other 4 sheaths. So, the Muni says here, though Bhagavan is not specifying that this Hridaya Kuhara Madhye refers to some space within the body, neither is he saying that it is an experience within the body which has these 5 sheets, but the Muni is saying so to give us clarity. That is how he has intuited this verse. He says, Atra shloke bhagavata sharire sthanam purvartha sthanamiritam. Atra shloke bhagavata purvarte sthanamiritam. So the space, the place is given. And that is within the body, is what the Muni says in the second half. Now, this is our experience, or we can say, looking at the verse this verse of Muni's from a different perspective, we can say that so long as one is identified with a body, Sharirasya drishyesmin sharire panchabhautike. If we see that we are having a body which has these 5-fold sheets, if we experience it to be so, if we see it to be so, then this Hridaya Kuhara Madhye refers to an experience that is situated within the body. So, Bhagavan in fact is asked as to why he gives a location for the spiritual heart, which is everywhere. The heart is everywhere. Bhagavan himself says that the heart is synonymous with the self, synonymous with Arunachala, which means it is everywhere. Why then does Bhagavan give a location for the heart? It is because Bhagavan says, when he is questioned about it, he says it's because you are identified with the body. You think you exist within a body. Therefore, it is important to give a location within the body for you to connect to the self. That's how Bhagavan explains it. So in this verse, the Muni says that this experience is given to us within the body. We also saw that See, how do we perceive of the body? Within the body means what? Does it mean it is a physical entity within the physical body? Certainly not. Because even if we look at the body as the physical body, our experience of it is not of the bones or the inner organs. We are not thinking of ourselves or of our bodies as a bag containing all these organs. A bag filled with air, it is said. There is a song in Tamil which says, Dehame adu poyyada, காற்றடைத்த பையடா, வெறும் காற்றடைத்த பையடா. It's a mere bag that has been filled with air. But this is not our experience of the body. When we say, I am the body, we feel a certain energy or a presence within this boundary of this body. Although we may image it as the face or the hands or the legs, or although we may experience it as one part of the body, if there is any pain in that part of the body, then automatically our connection with that part of the body becomes strong. Nonetheless, overall, we have a picture of being within the body. We experience, if we close our eyes, why do we close our eyes when we meditate? Something so simple, right? When we do our self-inquiry, we could do it with eyes open also. But where do we really feel our sense of self? If each one of us asks ourselves, where do we feel it? We obviously do not feel it outside this body. I do not see myself in another body. I do not see myself in any object of the world that I perceive. I feel my existence only within the body. Therefore, Muni says, look within. Bhagavan has given this space within only, within the body's presence. So he says that this is where one has to look. And we saw that this is the cave of the heart, the Hridaya Kuhara. It's a cave. It is not lighted in the typical sense as the light of the sunlight is there in the external world. But there is something, isn't it? There is no external light with which we experience everything within us. And as we said last time, as we meditated upon it, we found that sometimes in the journey, in the inner journey, when we ask ourselves, who am I? And we try to search for the meaning of the sense of I within ourselves, which Bhagavan says, Naninum Sor Porulam. Naninum Sor Porulam. Idam Ahampada. So this is the meaning of the word I. When we try to search for that meaning, who am I? When we ask ourselves, we are trying to seek the meaning of that feeling of I within ourselves. And when do we ask ourselves this? After having actually recognized that this body is not I. The body is not I. Neither is the breath the I, nor are our thoughts the I, nor is the discerning intellect the I. Then who am I? So we have understood that all these are not the I. That is, as if and when we arise as an experience within ourselves, if there is an experience, a bodily experience arising within ourselves, if there is a sound that we hear, if there is a sight that we remember seeing, or if there is some physical or sensory experience arising within us, then we remember this is not the I. This is not the I. Then who am I? Who am I? Similarly, if there is any other, if there is an experiencing of our breathing, we remember that this breath is observed by me, known to me, and it can be held as well. And when the breathing stops, also by holding the breath, I continue to exist. Therefore, this breath is not I. Then who am I? This is the beginning of the Who Am I? The book Who Am I has this, the traditional Neti Marga. But in self inquiry, as taught to us by Bhagavan, this is the preamble. See, it is the basis probably to the question Who am I has already arisen within us. So, we have already recognized that the I is not the body. But due to force of habit, thoughts arise within us. And when thoughts arise, they arise in the form of identification with the body, identification with the breath, identification with emotions, which is the mind, and identification with knowing or capacity to analyze, to know, to discriminate. This is how our thoughts are. These are the very thoughts that we have. So, as and when these thoughts arise, the self inquiry takes us back to the point that, oh, if a thought of the body arises, no, this is not I. Then who am I? If a thought of the breath arises, this is not I. Who am I? If a thought about any emotion arises, this is not I. Who am I? And if a thought arises that I am practicing all this, I know this now, I am able to analyze that I am not the body, I am not the breath, etc. Who is that I? Because this analysis is there. It may arise and it may subside. It will subside. Every experience arises and subsides because it is apart from the self. If it is seen apart from the self, it will arise and subside. It cannot be permanent. Anything which arises must subside. And if it subsides, it may arise again. This is what is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu. So that which arises will subside. So what is it that is watching? Who am I? But when we are thus holding on to the question, who am I, with an intent to experience the import of that I, of that word I, of the feeling I, to try and discover what is this, we have in effect negated all the known experiences, and we continue to negate all the known experiences either by saying this is not or recognizing it and not paying any attention to any of these experiences, but trying to pay attention only to the sense of I-ness. So when everything known is cut off, jnana varjita, Bhagavan says in Upadesh, it may feel dark and it may feel as if we don't know anything and we are lost. That's why it is a journey within a cave. It's called Hridaya Kuhara Madhye, within the cave, within that apparently dark area. But if we are journeying within a cave and we think all is dark, is all really dark? There is a light in our eyes which sees that darkness, which recognizes that darkness. So, in the physical sense, there is never a darkness. There is always a light which recognizes that darkness. And in a mental sense, when we feel that everything is dark within, we are not getting any answer, we don't seem to be heading anywhere, that must be recognized to be the light of the intellect. That is also the light of the intellect, which says, I am there and I can recognize that there is darkness. So Bhagavan says at that point, we have to hold on to that light. Hold on to that light of the awareness of darkness by asking, for whom is this darkness? For whom is this experience of darkness, which is also only an experience? When one dives further within by holding on to the inquiry, when one holds on without worrying even about the darkness, then one comes to Hridaya Kuhara Madhye. One comes to the center. And what does one find there? One finds Kevalam Brahmamatram. The Brahman is shining there, and the Brahman alone is shining there. That is what we discover. Everything, if Bhagavan says Kevalam Brahmamatram, that means everything is contained within that. There is nothing apart from it. The cave, the koshas, the body, everything is contained in it, which is what Bhagavan will explain to us even in the chapter on the Hridaya Vidya. But here he gives the description by saying Kevalam Brahmamatram. And that is the assurance also. If we dive into the heart cave, if we dive inward, as Bhagavan says, without being deterred, without being worried, if one holds on to the inward path, then one will arrive at the center, and that is the fullness of the self, says Bhagavan's words. Say Bhagavan's words over here, and that is his assurance as well to every one of us. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. Thank you, Akka.
Thank you, Dilip.
Apara Satchit Sukhavarirashi Yasyorbimatram Bhuvanam Samastam Guhahitam Tam Ravanam Gabhiram Chintavihinam Hridi Chintayami Chintavihinam Hridi Chintayami. Namo Ramana.